folk. I bid ye welcome to the fair realm of QI, where this day we sally forth upon a quest with our knights quadruple. All hail the valiant and mighty Sir Philip the Jupitus. The gallant and audacious Sir Alan de Carr. The puissant and fearless Lady Alice Levine. And the knight on the tiles, Alan Davis. But, hark, list ye to their nightly noises. Sir Philip the Jupitus goes... Sir Alan de Carr goes... Lady Alice Levine goes... And Alan goes... Right, draw your swords and prepare for combat.
I can't actually move with this.
It looks nice on you, weirdly.
Probably weirdly.
Oh, sorry.
Halfway through the show, he's going to go, oh, I feel drained.
Phil looks like he's got a wind machine on him.
No,
I saw a Labrador with its head out the car window.
Oh,
looking
nice. You can take them off, darling.
Well, how do they wear glasses in the olden days?
They hadn't invented glasses in the olden days, darling.
You see, I'm going to struggle on this show.
Shall we start the show and do a question? So, what's this man's name?
Is it Don Quixote?
Yes, darling.
Don Quixote.
X is a ch sound, isn't it?
Well, the X is a sh, technically, because he's speaking Old Castilian in the book, and it should be Don Quixote.
Quixote.
But I think we could say Quixote, don't you, Dave?
Well, is Don short for something, like Donald or Donna?
No, it was more of an honorary title.
Like the Don.
Yeah, like the Don, yeah.
Oh, right.
But quiche O.T., that sounds like an Irish order, doesn't it? I'll have quiche O.T.
Quiche.
Yeah. Actually, technically, he's not called any of those things because the protagonist in the book is called Alonso Quijano. So Don Quixote is a name he makes up for himself when he loses his marbles and assumes the character of a medieval knight. Lots of people argue it is the world's first modern novel.
Where do they argue?
Hey, in the literary world, my darling.
Oh.
He wrote it in prison, actually, which seems to be a good place to write a book. And it was an immediate and roaring success. In the novel, Don Quixote goes mad because of reading. It used to be believed that reading, or what they called excessive contemplation, was incredibly bad for you, and it caused the most astonishing range of illnesses. So if you read too much, you could get all of these things, according to Dr. Robert Burton. Gout, catarrhs, wasting, indigestion, colic, crudities, vertigo, consumption and wind. All caused by reading too much.
It's like the menu in a gastropub.
I feel like I'm in an exciting new hipster coffee bar. Oh, I'll have the colic,
The
please.
top 10 names in England in 2035. Yeah, it's gout and wasting are at camp, but colics at home.
Can I just say, though, it's so nice to be with another Alan, because Alan...
Yeah.
They're like the White Rhino. They're going extinct. There's only me, you, and Alan Titchmarsh going. Did you know that? There's no other Alans. You think with me being on the telly, there'd be a few more, but sadly not.
I love you very much, Alan, but I think you being on television is not going to encourage the breeding of children. I'm just...
Backstage went, Alan, I know it's your first time on. I'll be very kind and very lovely. I'll be back in the playground. Won't you stamp on me glasses while you're at it?
What do you suppose a collective for Alans is? I wonder what the...
A pride.
A pride. You happy with that, darling?
Yeah.
OK, fantastic. I'm pleased. Cervantes himself had quite an adventurous life. He was in the Spanish army, during which he got shot 3 times.
Well, he's got a sword in him there.
Oh, yes, that's not the thing.
Oh, I'll keep writing, don't worry.
He lost the use of his left arm. He was kidnapped and held captive as a slave for 5 years. He was arrested 3 times. He was excommunicated 3 times. I mean, he really had the most astonishing life.
Is he from Albert Square? That's a sort of CV in EastEnders, all of those bad things happening to you.
Nasty Nick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, what's the most thankless job in history?
It was being a mum, surely.
Don't try and get the mum vote.
We have to say thank you to Mum in our house. We won't get any biscuits.
What's the worst job you ever had, Alan?
I put the raisins into fruit and fibre. Yeah.
Did somebody else do the apple bits? You were only in charge of the raisins.
Yeah. They came in a big box. I didn't put them in individually. Wish I'd gone to school.
Anybody else? Terrible job?
I was once working at a record company and someone had a record out with a lyric in it that mentioned Mr. Potato Head. And so I was asked, as a promotional device, to carve faces into 100 potatoes.
OK, most thankless job in history comes from ancient China. So we're going to go back to 400 to 100 BC. And there were people called Yusha, and they were on a constant quest to rescue anybody in trouble and to help the poor. But they hated being thanked because they were too modest. In fact, it was part of their fundamental beliefs that you should never receive praise. So they are almost the equivalent of the knight-errants, which is what Don Quixote was.
But were they really modest, or were they like, no, please don't, please don't, please don't,
No,
please, no.
No, they had codes of chivalry. So there was one called Chuchia, and he saved hundreds of people's lives, but whenever anybody thanked him, he couldn't bear it. Even when he saved a king's life, he refused to ever see him again just in case he was thanked. It was absolutely part of who they were. There's a period of time in China, it's the 250-year period of warring states, and lots of dynasties were fighting for control. In the end, the dynasty called Qin finally won. That's Q-I-N, and that is where China gets its name from the Qin dynasty. So you can see this area down here on the left. That only lasted for about 15 years. But in these times of untrustworthy government, instability, people turned to these more self-sacrificing Yusha knights to dispense justice instead. Now, what's the lowest camping experience you can think of?
Oh, my God.
Oh, I was there that year.
Where is that?
That's Glastonbury, 2006 or 7. That was the year when there were police divers going into the tents looking for bodies.
Oh!
But I didn't find any, so it's all right.
It looks like a cross between camping and a soup from Wagamama's.
I went to Glastonbury once.
Yeah.
And I got absolutely paralytic. I woke up on the floor. Someone must have trodden on me because I had 2 footprints there. And someone had stubbed a fag out on my face.
No!
Yeah. How annoying can I be if I'm lying on the floor?
I'm talking about the lowest campsite in the world. It is 1.6 kilometres down inside the deepest cave on Earth. It is in Georgia, the Krubera Cave. It is obviously not open to your average camper. This is a genuine picture from the inside of the cave. It is 13 kilometres long, it is over 2 kilometres deep, and it can fill with water really fast with absolutely no warning whatsoever. Nevertheless, people go camping down inside this cave. So in 2018, 56 cavers from 7 different countries spent 4 weeks down inside. They were sleeping 6 to a tent, and for fun, they would dive down into sumps, which are sort of freezing... they're freezing cold passages submerged underwater, and squeeze as far as they could down these extremely narrow passageways. 4 weeks, can you imagine?
How much is it for a family of 4?
It's not for me.
What do you mean it's not for you? You're a perfect size for underground living. I can't get in that corridor. Where's Sandy? Sandy! Get down there, will you? Tell us if there's any sumps. You're like Stuart Little. We get you a little car. Go and find the interesting things underground, Sandy. And make sure you come back and we'll have a lovely bit of cheese for you.
So I was listening to that Flight of Fancy and you went cheese, and I thought, oh, I would come back for cheese. The deepest point of the cave is called the Terminal Sump.
Oh, dear.
And nobody knows how deep it is.
I've got one of those. Only my doctor knows where it is.
Well, I know a Ukrainian diver who could go and have a look. There's a man called Gennady Samokhin, and he holds the record for the deepest dive so far, 52 metres down to the Terminal Sump. Why would you do that?
I do not want to go any further down here. Sandy, go further. Where is Sandy in her tiny car?
Camping as a pastime, first documented, where do we reckon?
Early Victorian.
Early Victorians, it's British, so it's...
Is it?
Yeah, it is. The Victorians absolutely loved it. There was a great boating craze, so it was up and down the Thames, and some boats even converted into floating tents. The person we have to blame is a British tailor called Thomas Hiram Holding. He is regarded as the sort of father of lightweight camping. As a boy, in 1853, he and his family went across the United States by a pioneer wagon across the prairies, and he absolutely loved it and has inflicted on the rest of us for all eternity that we have
Somebody
to go
that
camping.
wears a pussy bow is not genuinely camping. No. Like, I feel like he's got an inflatable mattress in there, he's got heaters, he's got hot water bottles.
Well, he...
A little mojito, yeah.
He rather hilariously produced the Camper's Handbook, and under meals suggestions, he provides recipes for blancmange and lobster salad.
Oh, just come out.
I can remember getting a vegetarian cookbook in the 80s and it had a crisp sandwich in it.
It's not much of a tent, is it?
But he has rowed there on dry land, which is quite impressive. So.
Tide's out. You say that's not much of a tent. He sold it to Eeyore just after this photograph was taken.
Camping these days can get seriously intense. Come on. Come on.
And good night.
OK, moving on. From the deepest quest on Earth to the highest, what do Everest summiters come down with?
I was offered the chance to walk to base camp.
Right.
And I did 1 day's training on Hampstead Heath and declined.
They say Hampstead Heath's harder, so
You have to talk to the dog
Or the
walkers.
dog walkers.
But there's only a fortnight in May and a fortnight in October when you can even go to the top. And the rest of the year, it's 400-mile-an-hour winds and -60.
Oh,
Why would anyone go up there? You're
I thought you were going to say it's all school groups.
No,
It's inundated.
If you do get permission to go, you have to queue, and people get really bad-tempered. There are many fights that break out as people are waiting. What do they come down with?
A Yeti.
A black eye, by the sounds of it, if everyone's like...
Or a fridge magnet, something like that.
One of those pens with something that slides. A climber.
Well, there's a Sherpa in a
Top,
bra.
He's down again.
Sir Edmund. Wow.
You can see his Hillary.
So the Tibetans don't call it Everest, they call it Chumalonga, and they employ, in fact, 30 porters. Their sole job is to carry poo down the mountain. Yes, to special pits further down the mountain.
You're not allowed to leave your poo up there.
Well, no. In fact, if you do climb up now, the Nepalese government, they require you to bring down 18 pounds of rubbish. That includes other people's poo, or you will lose your $4,000 deposit. Just over 26,000 pounds of human excrement is dumped at base camp.
Will the poo ever overtake...
We can do this! For comic relief.
But the Nepalese porters who carry it all down, they are astonishing. They use something called a numlo. It's a sling that goes across the forehead. And on average, the male porters can carry 90% of their body mass. And there's female porters as well. They can carry 66%. There's one porter who can carry twice his own body weight. Hillary went back to the Himalayas lots of times after climbing Everest. He led an expedition. He led an expedition to look for the abominable snowman. He concluded that it didn't exist.
No.
No. But the Nepalese government has Yeti hunting rules. You have to pay for a permit, is the first thing. You have to photograph or capture it, you're not allowed to kill it, and you have to turn it over or turn over the photographs of any sightings whatsoever.
I like the idea that Edmund Hillary's there at the press conference, and this is what we're looking for, and there's a bunch of Sherpas in front of him, and they go, oh, you mean Keith?
He said, and you see, no hat. This is how you can tell. The Yeti.
Or the centre parting, do you think they saw lots of ones with little side parties? Like, that's not the one I'm looking for. I want the one with the curtains.
If we cannot find the Yeti, we will settle for the lead singer of Herman's Hermits.
Now, how did Britain's greatest national treasure get here?
Taxi.
What do you reckon? What's Britain's greatest national treasure?
Crown jewels.
It is to do with the crown jewels, the Cullinan Diamond. World's largest diamond ever found.
Cool. Christ.
Like a molar.
Fox mint.
It's about the size of an orange. So if you imagine the average diamond is about the size of a seed, and you compare that to the Cullinan Diamond, it was absolutely massive. It was discovered in 1905 in the Cullinan mines in South Africa. Probably the most valuable object in the world at the time. Now, as you said, is in the crown jewels. And so, obviously, they want to get it to London.
But did they just someone have to pocket it?
Well, what they did was they wanted to make sure that it was safe, so they rather ceremoniously put it in a package and they locked it inside the safe of a steamboat, and there was a team of detectives and all those things making sure this huge thing was absolutely safe. In fact, that package was a decoy, and the diamond arrived in London safe and sound by registered post. Don't you love that? They just thought, well, stick a stamp on it, be all right.
I'm very glad that you said that, because I just imagined a poor man walking all the way down the mall going... I've got a delivery for the Queen.
Well, it was taken immediately to King Edward VII to inspect. In fact, the diamond went unsold for 2 years, and the government of Transvaal, eventually, they bought it for the equivalent of £15 million today, and they wanted to give it as a gift to the king, but the government wasn't sure. But Churchill was the colonial secretary, and he said, absolutely, we need to take this. And because everybody was so grateful in Transvaal to him for doing this, Churchill was given a replica. He used to put it on a silver plate and show it off at dinners to guests.
I like the idea that you'd take it to the king and the king would inspect it, but, I mean, I'm presuming he doesn't know loads about diamond. I mean, what's he looking for?
I don't know.
I would have taken it to David Dickinson. He knows a bit more than me.
Well, that H.S. Samuel, is that a good one?
Of course, you did have to find somebody who was good with diamonds, and the people who really knew about it was the Asher brothers in Amsterdam. And again, they made a big song and dance out of it. The Royal Navy took a box across the North Sea. In fact, Abraham Asher took the diamond, put it in his pocket and caught the train and went by train and ferry all the way.
Tickets, please. Yeah. Oh, shit.
His brother, Joseph, studied the diamond and he planned the cut for weeks and weeks and weeks. 4 days before making the initial groove, he did a thing with the cutting knife and the knife broke rather than the diamond. I mean, it really was a massive thing. He spent 9 months cutting it into 9 major diamonds and 96 what they call brilliant.
What do you want it to say?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
So Cullinan's 1, which is the Great Star of Africa, that is at the top of the sceptre, and Cullinan's 2 is in front of the imperial state crown. They're the major components. That ruby there is Black Prince's ruby, the largest one in the world. Not cut properly, just given a bit of a polish. Now, on to the quest for true love. Who would be interested in this dating profile? Stocky build, short, bald, Bolivian male, moderate drinker, never been in a previous relationship, definitely wants children.
That's basically me.
Is it a human?
No, obviously it's not a human.
All Bolivian
Yes.
creature beginning with a Q.
It doesn't begin with a Q.
Well, it's in the wrong series.
It is. But we are on a quest to find this creature a mate. It is a frog.
A frog?
So this is a very sweet story, OK? This is the story of Romeo, a Sewencus frog. So he has been living in a tank in Bolivia, in the Cochabamba Natural History Museum, And it was thought that Romeo was the last one in his species. So the last one in his species is called an endling. And in 2018, his conservationist set up an online dating profile for him on Match.com in an effort to find him a mate. And here is the video that they made for their search.
Hi there, I'm Romeo, a Sehuencas water frog from Bolivia. I'm a pretty simple guy. I tend to keep to myself and love spending nights at home. I also love eating. Then again, who doesn't?
Ah, who could resist, right? Who could resist?
They're good friends to do that.
Didn't want to do it himself.
Yeah.
It's
It's
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
To do it yourself.
They're good mates.
Get your
They're
friends
good
to
mates.
do it.
Miguel, could you do a video for me?
Hey, why don't I put it in you? Catch the worm. You come out under the rock. You get the worm.
I have the tiny arms of the frog. It is not possible for me to hold the phone and eat the worm.
Say what you want me to say.
Write it down a big piece of pepper, hold it behind the phone.
The thing is, it worked.
Loads of frogs started turning up.
Toad in a frog bra.
Hello.
They went out on a frog-finding expedition. They found 3 males and 2 females, and he has now been paired with a female who they have obviously named Juliet. Exactly right.
See, because I am called Romeo. This photograph was taken of me at my modern jazz dance class. When you dance in Bolivia, you must never smile.
Here's the thing, is that you're completely wrong about Romeo's personality, because they put him with Juliet, and she's really energetic. She loves to swim, she eats a lot, she keeps trying to escape, and
She is driving me on the wall. Climbing out of the tank,
Yeah. He's
eating my worms.
very shy.
He doesn't like her. There's no such thing as shyness.
How
That's an
does-
affectation.
Oh.
He doesn't like her and he's acting as if he's shy.
Only one final challenge remains for our gallant knights as we trepidate into the treacherous kingdom of general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, please. Which is the closest planet to Earth? Alex.
Mars?
Not Mars. Anybody else?
Venus? The moon?
No, just generally.
Mercury.
Yes, absolutely right. It is Mercury. But it's not how we normally think of it. So the minimum distance between the Earth and Venus is 24 million miles. If you have a look at this is how we generally think
Very near, isn't it?
of it. Yeah, well, it is in sort of space terms. The minimum distance to Mars is 34 million miles, and to Mercury it's 48 million miles. So you would imagine that it all goes like that and everybody stays in the same lineup. However, that is not how orbits work. So let's have a look at this video, which explains it a little bit more. Initially, it looks as though Mercury is the furthest away, but the way the orbits function is that Venus often is right the other side of the sun, making it really, really far away. And there's a guy called Oliver Hawkins, and he wrote some computer code to try and work this out. And he found that the planet that spends most of the time closer to Earth than any other is Mercury. So it's closest to Earth 46% of the time. Venus was closest 36% of the time, and Mars only 18%.
I think I did say all of that.
Yeah. Anybody have a mnemonic to remember the planets in order?
Yes. It's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Thank you, darling, that's perfect. That is the order, and...
Pluto doesn't count. It's actually a Disney character.
Yes, that's great. That is the order of the planets, and one is often taught it at school. So many volcanoes emit mulberry jam sandwiches under normal pressure, or my very easy method just speeds up naming planets. So there were...
I couldn't get past vagina, though. I've got moist vagina expected, might just steam up 90.
So weirdly, that's probably the one I'm going to remember. Anybody else? else? Alice, you've got one?
Mine's quite depressing.
OK.
Mum's vacant expression means Jane sulks unless noticed.
Wow, you were a jolly girl at school. My favourite is Mary's virgin explanation made Joseph suspect upstairs neighbour. Worth pointing out, of course, that Pluto is no longer regarded as a planet.
No, not there.
It's now a dwarf. What is the name of this sword?
Excalibur.
It isn't.
Yeah. Right.
That's the first one he got. Excalibur's the one later.
Yes.
From the Lady of the Lake. The one he pulled out the stone is called Terry.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right.
Terry the sword.
The sword and stone is likely called Clarent.
Clarent.
Clarent, isn't it? It's a sword of peace.
He pulled it out of the stone shortly before buying his first pair of trousers.
They're quite a fit, aren't they?
That's what they're all laughing at.
And we end with the quest for eternal life. So, Sir Alan of Carr, your final challenge.
OK.
Upon yonder table lies the chalice of eternal life. Prithee, select the one true Holy Grail and bring it to me.
Oh, OK.
Yeah, good luck.
Is this my hat?
Oh, yes, of course.
If I meant to look like Indiana Jones, I look like a Charlie Hungerford from Bergerac. Do you know what I mean? Right, what am I doing?
Right, so, you are looking for the Holy Grail. Which one are you going to select?
What's that Indiana Jones one where he thinks that Jesus' cup will be like the golden one, but it's the modest one, isn't it?
OK. So what do you reckon?
Well, I think it's the wooden one.
Here's the thing. You should have picked the tray. The tray is the Holy Grail. A grail was most likely a serving dish, so would you please bring me the tray? And none of the cups whatsoever.
Has it got one of those beanbag padded bottoms?
I love those.
If I could have that, please, darling. The word
What,
grail...
like
Thank you, sweetheart. It comes from the Latin gradale grail, and it means a deep platter that you would serve food on during medieval banquets. It gradually evolved from the sort of Middle Ages onwards into people thinking it was a larger vessel with an elaborate cover and then a drinking cup. Traditionally, the idea is it gives immortality to the drinker, although the Bible gives no special significance to the chalice that Jesus uses to consecrate his blood wine. Well, I'm afraid you picked wrong, but you look very fetching in the hat. I would love to see a camp Indiana Jones. Something terrible happens. He goes, whoa! A grail actually looks like this, which means a Holy Grail looks like this.
Oh.
I'm working my arse off here, people. Which brings us to the scores. In first place, with -1, it's Phill. Second place with -7, making a fantastic debut, it's Alan Carr.
Thank you.
In third place, a surprising -15, Alan. And in last place with -18, it's Alice. So, farewell from my noble knights, Alice, Alan, Phill, and Alan and me. Till we meet again, let us dwell upon this questing quotation from the late, great Knight of the Realm, Sir Terry Pratchett. So much universe and so little time. Good night.